Okay. I've had a number of conversations recently, including today, with customers talking about cosmetics. Condition of the dial, condition of the loom, condition of the insert, if a diver, that kind of thing. And some people, because a lot more people now who haven't really been Seiko collectors are sort of coming to Seiko because they've heard about it more. So I have a number of people, and they come and they ask me questions. They want to find out more about sort of the informal guidelines or the rules about values and how Seiko works, specifically in watches in general. Cosmetics, especially when it comes to vintage Seiko, it's like everything, basically. People are rightfully concerned about what's going on underneath the hood. Hey, is the movement in good shape? But really, that stuff is a very, relatively speaking, minor part of the value of vintage Seiko. With vintage Seiko, from what I've seen and experienced, damn near everything is all about the condition. The condition of the loom, the condition of the dial, condition of the case brushing, sharpness. The reason being is that these things are, for the most part, they're not things that can be replaced. I'm pretty proud of my relooming work. I think I do a really good job, and in some cases, I can do relooming work that even I have trouble telling if it's original or redone. But that original Seiko loom is just, for the most part, it's something that can't be really truly replicated. And so if it's good, it's not ever anything that can be replaced or made better. If there's dial damage, that's forever. That stuff is forever. Insert damage, again, you can't really repair this stuff, and there aren't replacement parts for any of this stuff. Like, you cannot find new old stock replacement dials. That just doesn't happen. There's no way to reverse the damage done to loom if, say, any moisture gets in and the loom turns gray, or if you get a lot of moisture in and then you get what's called the Black Death. There's no coming back from that. You either have to live with it or replace it, and that's just the way that it is. So, as you get up in condition, especially now that Seiko is becoming so valuable and everybody is trying to get their hands in it, and the Swiss guys have gotten into it now, all these prices and these collectible models are just going through the roof. But that's why, as you get higher and higher and higher in condition, those ever smaller increments of improvement mean an inverse amount of value increase. Just tiny changes can mean a lot in terms of the value of this or that watch. Anyway, so I have some examples. So I thought I would jump into it, and we'll jump over there because I have such a nice 6105 8110 that I've completed, and it's kind of hard to upgrade it. I mean, it has a little bit of wear and stuff like that, but in terms of the things that cannot be replaced, the dial and the looms and the hands and all that stuff, it's basically, I don't know how you'd upgrade on it. I mean, I've seen watches as nice, but not that often. So I want to talk about that, and we'll talk about that, because condition is everything when it comes to Seiko. Okay, let's break. So I'm going to start with the best of the best. I mean, or maybe I should do it the reverse way, or maybe not. I don't know. Who cares? I started this. This, in terms of originality and loom, this is what good looks like. You look at the loom condition. I want to put this in the standard stuff, so hang on just 1 second, because I think it looks nice. Okay. This watch, the crazy, beautiful loom condition, completely original. Wait, no, I get my magnifier. And it's the small things that are just the killer, that just freak me out because they're so nice. The color of the loom, that's important. The evenness of the loom, that's especially important. But with this style specifically, not just the light tan, which is very hard to achieve, but the perfect flatness. Seiko loom on these 6105s, they had a lot of variety. They were high fill and low fill and fine grain and big grain, and sometimes they were rumply fills, sometimes they sink in the middle. This one is dead flat. If you look at this marker here, completely flat with perfect white frosting all the way around. I mean, this dial is perfect. Perfect. And that's just not seen very often. So a watch like this, when compared to, say, my sort of daily wearer 6105, if I can get a handle on it, I mean, the differences are subtle, but they're important. This is, it's also all original. You'd think at first glance, boy, this is a pretty good watch, and it is a pretty good watch. The cases are quite comparable. In this one, though, it had a tiny bit of moisture inside, and you can see just little pecks there in the corners here, little teeny tiny pecks, and the lume is the regular sort of bone regular white. It doesn't have this ever so slight tropic to it. I mean, so it's nice, but man, these two watches would command prices significantly different from each other. I mean, this watch is miles above this one for the stuff that just cannot be replaced or addressed, or there's just nothing that can be done about it. So it's just the way that it is. I mean, anybody holding this would be like, hey, that's a pretty nice watch. But when you put it next to one like this, and you see that how much impact those tiny little changes have for how nice a watch can be. I mean, 6105s are expensive, but condition matters. I mean, it's the first thing you should look at if you're ever considering, buying something like this. There are a lot of grades, basically, of what you can get, all the way from, because we always want to look at the dial, the worst possible dial that you could get. That's an original dial. What's left of one? All the paint is gone. The lume got all stripped out. It's just, this one just got worked. Then you have the next level up in terms of this stuff. Again, all original. This one had a lot of water inside. This watch did. You can see the lume has sort of a grainy puffiness to it. That is in part because of the water that got in, but also how the lume was applied when this dial was made. Let's see if I can read the date on it. No, the date is not readable. Okay, because too much water got in. We start getting to to better examples. It's not bad. I mean, the printing's a little light down below, but you can see, again, it got some moisture inside, and it's got a little bit of the Black Death, but not a lot. I've certainly seen worse, and with some love, this dial could certainly come out nicely, and it's got all the chapter ring marks, which is really good. You get a little bit higher quality. Again, completely original. Look, it's got some text loss here, and even though the tops of the markers are all beautifully frosted, the lume is damaged. Now, at this point, when you get up to this condition, you start to think in your head, okay, what's going to be worth more long-term is leaving this be, not reluming. You go back into these, like this one, I'd probably leave that one too. That one is so far gone, there's no point. But then, okay, so you've got all of these, and you can see them getting, increasingly improved. And you got this one, you're like, hey, that's pretty decent, but you can still see it's got the problems. And then once you have all these hit, in your head, and you see something like this, you're like, to me anyway, you get just a gut punch of how different and important a dial in this condition is, and how valuable it is. Condition is everything with vintage Seiko. And so, people they write me sometimes and they'll say, that they want to save some money, and they want to get something that's, compromised maybe, and they'll sort of make it look better, right? I say, no, don't ever do that. Buy the best possible watch you can in terms of cosmetics. Hang on just one second for me. I mean, because the impact on long-term value is just gigantic. Another good example is the 6139 6005 True Pogue. So, like, this is a 6139 6005 True Pogue. This is, it's pretty decent, all told. I mean, it needs some love, but the dial surface actually is pretty decent. It's got good original lume. Indicator ring is faded. That's not deadly, and I have other ones of that. It's missing some paint here, but that can be redone. It's not a problem. It's absolutely original. The printing is clean. It's a genuine True Pogue. With some work and some love, this would be fine. Again, the insert's got some things, but the color itself is pretty bright. Somebody's futzed with the brushing on the case, and that's kind of a problem, but it's still a true poke. So that's not a bad place to start. That really isn't a bad place to start, and with love, I can make this a great watch. This watch, by the way, the owner says that he is willing to sell this watch and his spot in line to have it restored. So if you're interested in picking up a True Pogue and buying his spot in line, message me. Anyway, so it's just, cosmetics are really important. So this is my True Pogue. It's a little dusty. And you can see just the things that I look for here, things that are important. Boy, it's not actually that far off. This looks rougher than this one, but the things that truly matter, the things that I cannot replace on this one are pretty well here. So that's the thing. So the things always to look for, always, always, always. Dial surface. This one has more patina around the lower subdial, but it's not bad. Color's a little darker, more of the honey, but again, that's not bad. That's not a problem. The colors on these varied wildly. The indicator ring is faded, but so is Poe's at the end of his. When he still had his was bleached to white. That's the original ring. But I have replacement rings. I could drop one in and make this one yellow. But the things that cannot be replaced, the dial surface and the lume, etc., they're good. So this is a watch that when people are like, oh, well, I want one that looks just like this. Well, the thing is, I can make this one look pretty similar to this. It would take work and obviously expense, but I could certainly make it happen. So that's always something to think about. Always something to think about. Crazy. Okay, well, that's about it. I just wanted to spend a little time talking about cosmetics and how important they are, and the things to truly look for, the things to not get distracted by the wrong things, but to look for the right things. Because if you look for the right things, you will come up with a decent watch. Okay, I just wanted to have a fun video. All right, talk to you later.